All right, so you know how this works by now, right? You send in the topics, and then we dive in and pull out the good stuff.
Yeah, try to cut through all the noise and give you what you need to know, but fast.
Exactly. We want to help you get informed without feeling totally overwhelmed.
Absolutely, and that's what we're doing today. We're taking a deep dive into something pretty fascinating, the application of Blazepods as a rehabilitation tool.
Yeah, this came up on the Braun Performance and Rehab podcast, and we thought it was worth exploring more deeply.
Especially the unique aspects of Blazepods,
Yeah.
what makes their use so distinct.
To guide us, we have insights from Brian Farber, the head of Blazepod USA.
And Kyle Valerie, a wellness and performance coach who is known for his really integrative approach using science and technology to optimize what he does.
So Blazepod is described as this smart reaction training platform designed to improve reaction time and agility.
And we're going to see how that applies to a bunch of different individuals, from athletes all the way to people in therapy.
So let's start with the basics. What is Blazepod?
Based on Brian Farber's description, it's essentially a system of wirelessly controlled pods that light up.
Okay, so they light up and...
Yeah, and the key is reaction training. So you have these pods that can be programmed to light up in a ton of different sequences.
Got it.
And the user has to react quickly, like tapping the pod, moving towards it, or doing some other specific action as soon as it lights up.
Interesting. So it's not just like a light show. It requires you to actually do something.
No, it's very interactive. And what's cool is it's really versatile, as Brian Farber points out.
Oh.
It's not just for elite athletes. It's designed to be adaptable for people at all different fitness levels.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. And importantly, for people who are in the recovery process, whether they're young or old.
So if we think about the core benefits, you mentioned improved reaction time and agility. How do those actually play out in a rehabilitation setting?
Think about it. Reaction time isn't just important for sports.
True.
It can be crucial for preventing falls, say for someone recovering from a condition that affects their balance.
That's a great point.
Or imagine someone regaining stability after a lower limb injury. Blazepods can be used for really carefully graded agility training.
So instead of just doing like static balance exercises.
Exactly. The unpredictable light cues from the pods force you to engage your stabilizing muscles in real time.
So it's more dynamic.
Yeah, potentially leading to a more functional recovery. Farber specifically talks about improvements in reaction time and agility being seen in therapy contexts.
I see. So it's not just about getting faster. It's about regaining those essential movement skills.
And that adaptability is what makes it so valuable for rehab.
So what's the big picture here? What's the ultimate goal of Blazepod, according to Brian Farber?
He says their mission is to reinvent training all over the world.
Wow, that's ambitious.
Yeah, it is. But it really highlights their belief in the potential of this technology.
They think it can really change things.
He goes on to say that they want to empower any athlete in any sport and in any fitness or therapy domain to realize new levels of potential, breaking all previous barriers.
So they're not just aiming for small improvements. They see this as a fundamental shift in how we approach training.
Absolutely, whether for performance enhancement or for recovery.
Now, for those of us who are thinking, okay, this sounds interesting, but what makes it so different from other training methods? What's the unique Blazepod experience?
I think this is where it gets really exciting for
Right.
rehab. What sets it apart, according to Farber, is this powerful integration of body and mind during training.
So it's not just a physical thing.
No, you're not just going through the motions, the unpredictable visual stimuli really engage your cognitive functions.
Like what specifically?
Or your visual processing, decision-making, motor planning, all of that has to fire simultaneously.
You can't just zone out.
No, you're forced to be completely present
Yeah.
and react in real time to those changing lights.
That sounds intense.
And he also talks about how it's gamified, exciting, and even addicting.
Oh, that's interesting, especially in context of rehab.
Think about someone who's been doing the same rehab exercises day after day. It can get pretty monotonous.
Yeah, for sure.
But with Blazepods, you have this element of challenge, trying to tap the lights as fast as possible, following increasingly complex sequences.
It becomes almost like a game.
Exactly. And they can be hugely motivating, potentially improving adherence to rehab protocols.
Because it's actually fun.
It's not just a chore, it's an engaging activity.
Huh.
Imagine a patient trying to beat their own personal best response time.
I love that it changes the whole mindset.
Right. It's not just about doing your exercise. It's
Yeah.
about pushing yourself and having fun while you're recovering.
Now, we also have Kyle Valerie as part of this conversation, And while we don't have direct quotes from him specifically about blaze pods and rehab,
Right.
can we read between the lines based on his
I
expertise?
think so. His strength is really in this integrative approach to wellness and performance.
Like blending psychology,
Yeah.
nutrition, fitness, manual therapy, all that.
And he works with a really diverse clientele, including medical professionals and people who are in recovery.
So he's not just focused on like high performance athletes.
No, he's got a really broad perspective. And considering his focus on using science and technology to optimize client outcomes, it's very likely he sees value in a tool like Blazepod for rehabilitation.
Especially given his background in neuromuscular training,
Right. Blazepod's ability to provide variable and unpredictable sensory input that's crucial for retraining motor control patterns.
which is often disrupted after an injury.
Exactly. And his understanding of the brain-body connection probably aligns perfectly with Farber's emphasis on the cognitive engagement that Blazepod provides.
So even though we don't have his direct words here, it's safe to say he probably sees the potential of this platform to enhance rehab strategies.
And he'd probably love the objective data that Blazepod can provide on a patient's progress in terms of reaction time and agility.
Because then you can make more data-driven adjustments to their recovery plan.
Exactly, it takes the guesswork out of it.
So to sum up, it seems like the real power of Blazepod in rehab isn't just about the physical movements, it's about retraining that brain-body connection through these engaging, unpredictable stimuli.
Yeah. And the fact that it can be adapted for so many different people.
From someone with a minor injury to someone with more serious neurological challenges.
That versatility is huge.
So let's recap the key takeaways for our listeners.
Okay, so Blazepod, it's a smart reaction training platform designed to improve reaction time and agility.
It's not just about speed, though.
No, their mission is to revolutionize training globally.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes it so unique for rehabilitation
Especially in rehab.
is this ability to combine physical and cognitive training in a way that's both effective and engaging.
And even though we don't have specific rehab protocols laid out here, the insights from Farber and the implied perspective from someone like Kyle Valerie,
Yeah, someone with his level of experience.
it really suggests that this technology has a promising role to play in optimizing recovery.
And helping people get back to doing what they love.
So for you listening, think about this. How might a tool like Blazepod benefit different stages of recovery or specific rehab protocols that you might be familiar with?
You know, could it be a more objective way to measure progress in areas like balance and coordination?
Or could that gamified nature help patients stay more motivated throughout their recovery?
It definitely gives us some interesting things to think about.
If you want to dive deeper into this conversation and maybe hear more concrete examples of how Blazepod is being used in both performance and rehab settings.
Definitely check out the Braun Performance and Rehab podcast.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We hope it's given you some new insights.
And new things to explore.
Keep those questions coming and keep exploring the world around you. Until next time.
See ya.